Listen very carefully and follow my instructions. Prepare your brain for the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast.
I gotta tell you, being an entrepreneur, I will not go through the rest of my career without taking nootropics. Aniracetam, paracetam, modafinil, Nupec, uridyl monophosphate. I mean, phenylparacetam, forget it. You can always have a better brain.
The Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast is about to begin.
Episode number 73 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. I am your host, Ryan Michael Ballo. Thanks so much for being with me. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for being here. Check us out on the web at livecortex.com, at livecortex.com/blog. Look, that is a giant blog for nootropics information. All of the podcasts that we do on the Cortex Labs Nootropics channel go up on livecortex.com/blog. This is episode number 73. There's 72. The time that this is being published, and at the time you're listening to this, there's probably more. 6 powerful products support our podcast and our broadcasts. Here they are. Number 1, the Cortex Nootropic Stack. We have our own stack. It is called Cortex. It's been on the market for just about 3 years. It is used by everyone from corporate professionals that need 10 hours, 15 hours, 18 hours of brain performance per day, to poker players. That's the recent thing that like the contingent of folks have been using Cortex. Like, these guys need hardcore focus. They need a strong nootropic strategy, and they use Cortex for that. To everybody else in between, get a bottle of what's being called the only pre-made stack that works, a stack that rocks people's world, Cortex. Get that at livecortex.com. We've got 5 digital nootropics books that teach you how to use nootropics and give you very many powerful modafinil-like stacks. I'll explain them a little bit later at the end of this podcast. And if you need my help personally, we've got a nootropics consulting service. It's a 40-minute call with me over Skype to help you with whatever you need. If you're in school and you need stacks, if you need advice on nootropics, if you're new and you need some advice on nootropics, you need me to help you formulate a stack, whatever it is, get that consulting service at livecortex.com. And then lastly, if you're brand new to nootropics, we've got a nootropics starter pack. It's a bottle of our stack Cortex, and it's Smarter, Better, Faster, which is our digital guide that teaches you how to use nootropics. Okay. So we're going to do this podcast on nootropics and adrenal fatigue. And really the question comes up often enough to us. Like, folks send us emails and say, hey, look, I've got adrenal fatigue. I'm wondering which nootropics I should take. And the answer is a lot more complex than I think people think. But putting it simply, there is a simple answer to it. And here's the simple answer. It might not be the answer people want, but here's the simple answer. The simple answer is most nootropics are not going to be good for adrenal fatigue, but some will, and I will give you them soon. But the main thing I want to explain to you is that adrenal fatigue is typically characterized by salt wasting. And that is where the adrenal glands don't produce a mineral corticoid. I think it's a mineral corticoid called aldosterone. And aldosterone regulates sodium balance in your kidneys. It basically tells your kidneys when you pee not to release a bunch of sodium so that you can keep your sodium in your body and you can therefore maintain water and fluid balance. What happens with people that have low aldosterone is they pee out a lot of their salt, like a significant amount of their salt, especially if they take diuretics, like if they drink a lot of coffee or drink alcohol or something. They're sort of peeing all the time. Makes it worse if you're low carb, because scientifically, demonstrated, if you eat low carb, you're going to pee more, because glucose, especially complex carbohydrates, will help you to retain water and thus sodium. Look, nootropics are not going to help that situation. In fact, they will tax the adrenal glands and make it worse. Okay, that's one thing I want you to get away from this. Nootropics are going to tax the adrenal glands and make things worse, especially hardcore compounds, modafinil, and others, right? So you want to kind of steer clear of some of that stuff until you get this under control. The thing to do with adrenal fatigue, and I'm speaking specifically from having diagnosed adrenal insufficiency. This was some time ago, but I fixed it, and I induced it, by the way, by basically extreme dieting and extreme workouts. Extreme workouts and extreme dieting. Very, very bad idea. The way you address this is, number one, you got to up your sodium intake pretty considerably. And the best way to do that, frankly, that I have found is either to suck on Himalayan rock salts, like Himalayan salt crystals, and then just drink water sort of periodically while you're sucking on them. And the other way to do it is actually take 00 capsules. These are small supplement capsules. and pour sea salt in them. Okay, so you're making salt supplements, you're making salt pills, sea salt capsules, and to take at a 00 size capsule, to take 4 to 10 of them every, I'd say 4 hours, certainly starting from the moment you wake up throughout the day. That's going to help keep your adrenal glands where they need to be. It's going to help manage your sodium balance. It's going to help have you retain more water so you're not peeing a lot of it out. And that's going to give your adrenal glands a lot of the support they need to function normally throughout the day, which is what you need them to do. The other thing is you look, I know there's dietary dogma out there, but you've got to eat your carbohydrates, and you've got to particularly eat complex carbs. Like, you got to eat brown rice, guys. You got to eat beans. You got to eat quinoa. You got to eat sweet potatoes, and then some of the less complex but still built up carbohydrates. You got to eat white potatoes. You got to eat rice. You got to eat starches. You got to eat green bananas. You got to eat plantains. These are foods that are critical, especially if you've got adrenal insufficiency or adrenal fatigue. But once you fix, and then the last thing, moving kind of into the nootropics realm, it has been demonstrated that glycine, which is a neurotransmitter effectively, but also considered a nootropic, it's called glycine. You take it before bed in 1 to 3 grams. It'll help you sleep for a lot of folks significantly, so take that away from this as a good piece of information. But if you take glycine, it's been demonstrated that it increases, it pretty much tenfold increases or significantly increases anti-diuretic hormone, which will absolutely help you in the case of adrenal insufficiency. So it'll crank up a hormone that basically prevents you from dumping out your fluids. And that'll also prevent you from dumping out your sodium, which will give your adrenal glands a lot more sodium to work with so that they can start to recover. Okay. And the other thing is that anti-diuretic hormone, which again is increased via taking glycine at nighttime in 1 to 3 grams, is also known as vasopressin. And vasopressin is a nootropic. Okay, vasopressin actually works as a nootropic. The guy who wrote the 4-Hour series, Tim Ferriss, who's also into nootropics or was into nootropics for quite some time, racetams and modafinil, used to actually literally spray vasopressin up his nose, and it gives you memory benefits. Okay, so that is the preliminary, my preliminary sort of cautionary note on what to do. You cannot paint over dirt. The dirt being the adrenal insufficiency, with nootropics being the paint. If you are not fixing the underlying issue, in fact, it'll make it worse. But once you start to do all these things, you start to feel a little better. You start to have more energy throughout the day. You're peeing less. You feel like you can intake a little less salt than if you listen to my advice and you've previously taken a lot of salt throughout the day. Then you want to shoot for what's called non-neurotransmitter modifying nootropics. The acronym is non-neurotransmitter modifying or modulating nootropic compounds. And those are particularly theacrine. I mean, that's a little heavy on adenosine, but it's like caffeine in that, it's not super increasing a particular neurotransmitter. I don't even know if it's really increasing a neurotransmitter as much as just binding to one and preventing tiredness. But more so, you want to shoot for blood flow optimizing nootropic compounds. So that would be vinpocetine, pycnogenol, and icariin. Those are the nootropic compounds that you really want to focus on in this particular situation. Another nootropic stack that you'd want to focus on is a thyroid gland supporting nootropic stack. So something like 500 milligrams L-tyrosine, 800 milligrams of iodine. Micrograms, 800 micrograms. Okay, don't do milligrams. Micrograms of iodine. That's 2x the RDA. And the same amount, 800 micrograms of selenium. I mean, those are precursors to thyroid hormone. Okay, so those are the kind of nootropics you want to take if you've got adrenal fatigue, because the thyroid gland and the adrenal glands work sort of cohesively or synergistically together to help produce energy in your body. Now, one other nootropic stack that I found works pretty well, that we've suggested with people with adrenal fatigue, that I was taking as I was getting over adrenal fatigue and didn't negatively affect me whatsoever, is a yohimbine pycnogenol stack, which is a stack that we talked about recently in one of our videos. Yohimbine is a stimulatory compound that increases the either the production or the release of epinephrine and norepinephrine. So it's neurotransmitter modulating for sure, but not super substantially. It doesn't seem to tax the situation at all. It's a blood flow optimizing agent, though. Yohimbine is massive nitric oxide production. and blood flow facilitating compound, which sends blood flow to the brain as well, and really optimizes how that whole system works. So something like 10 to 15 milligrams of yohimbine combined with 100 or so milligrams of pycnogenol, which is very specifically a nitric oxide boosting, blood flow facilitating nootropic compound that also works in the brain. That's also considered a nootropic. That stacks well with racetams, by the way, and stacks well with a whole bunch of other things. And that would be the combination of nootropics to take in this particular situation. Once again, once you've targeted and you're targeting and you understand what to target, the adrenal fatigue, the underlying issues that are really causing the adrenal fatigue. Now, there's other advice I could give you too, like work out a little less. Don't do 10-mile runs and don't go crazy with gym workouts. Just try to moderately work out. I know that for those of you that might be like me, where you're addicted to hard workouts, it's very difficult to scale down, but you're going to have to sacrifice that for now so that you can do it later and so that you can be healthy. And that is my advice on adrenal fatigue and nootropics. In the beginning, if you're not targeting the salt intake, if you're not targeting actually like trying to fix these glands and trying to produce the mineral corticoids and the hormones that the adrenal glands produce, like DHEA and of course aldosterone, but then you go and take some stimulatory crazy nootropics that crank everything up, crank all a bunch of neurotransmitters up, crank up your heart rate, crank up your nervous system, then that's going to tax the adrenal system even further. You want to give it support with sodium and a whole lot of complex carbohydrates as much as you can. And then from there, once you start to, you're retaining more water, you're not peeing as much, you've scaled back on coffee, you've scaled back on alcohol, you're starting to feel a little better naturally, then you can start taking some of the non-neurotransmitter modulating nootropics we talked about, and again, that yohimbine pycnogenol combination. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Check us out on the web at livecortex.com, at livecortex.com/blog. And hey, check this out. Right now, the Cortex stack, our nootropic stack, this is like, the 16th of April, 2018, is on sale for $27. Dude, that is cheap. You can buy what's being called the only pre-made stack that works. Dude, I mean, this is a powerful nootropic stack in the eyes of our customers, in the words of our customers. They love it. We built it initially for entrepreneurs, for just super uber productive people that want to get stuff done. We built the Cortex stack for. It combines, people say that the artichoke extract forskolin combo is like modafinil. I mean, for some people, perhaps somewhat. We found the real combination of stuff that is exceptionally powerful in that regard. And that is uridine, CDP choline, and artichoke extract with a little bit of bacopa in the right quantities. That lights you up. It is a crazy powerful stack. Get Cortex at livecortex.com. And look, if you want some stacks that are comparable to like high-dose modafinil with phenylpiracetam, just a variety of nootropic stacks. The ingredient quantities are worked out for most folks. We really took a lot of time to put a lot of love into these stacks. Buy the nootropic stacks for the business professional. Okay, it's 100 stacks. Buy the Racetam God Guide. I'm serious, listen, the Racetam God Guide, all 8 major racetams, all accompanying stacks of those racetams. These books are digital. You can download them today. You can download them right now. Go to livecortex.com and get whichever one you want. We've got the Noopept Pro stack list, a stack list of Noopept stacks that are strong as heck. We've got a stack list of aniracetam stacks called the Beginner's Guide to Aniracetam on livecortex.com. And then look, if you're new to nootropics, just buy Smarter, Better, Faster. That teaches you everything you need to know about nootropics, and if you are new. Okay, thanks so much for listening, everybody. Again, if you need my help personally, we've got a consulting service on nootropics at livecortex.com. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for being a part of this thing. Share it if you loved it. Thumbs up it if you loved it. Thumbs down it if you hate it. Rock on. Talk to you next time.